The High Court has suspended the Finance Minister's announcement of a VAT increase, which was meant to take effect on Thursday. It comes after the Democratic Alliance and Minister Enoch Godongwana settled out of court. The court also set aside Parliament's adoption of the fiscal framework. The Economic Freedom Fighters and the Democratic Alliance, who challenged the move, have been awarded legal costs, with both the Minister of Finance and Parliament ordered to pay 50% each. Well, the DA Federal Council Chairperson Helen Zille joins us now for more on our baking story and certainly to give us a reaction. Thank you so much for joining us, and a good evening to you. I think I'll give you an opportunity to share with our viewers your reaction to certainly the court documentation that confirms that there has been some sort of agreement outside of court.
Yes, we were very pleased when the minister came back to the table today, and we had those discussions and we reached an out-of-court settlement that was made an order of the court. That will nullify the VAT increase. It won't take place on the 1st of May because of the court order. There was no other way to stop it happening on the 1st of May other than a court order, and we're glad that we could settle with the minister out of court and then make it a court order. Ditto with the Speaker of Parliament. So the order of court also nullifies the adoption of the fiscal framework, both in the Portfolio Committee and in Parliament itself. So that's now going to be an order of court. There's going to be a fiscal framework started from scratch again and being taken through Parliament in a lawful way this time. And also we'll be proceeding with Part B of our application to have Section 7.4 of the VAT Act declared unconstitutional, because it gives the minister power to declare a tax increase, which the Constitution doesn't enable him to do.
Yeah, it's almost difficult for me to have this conversation without getting the importance of why the order of the court essentially officially nullifies the VAT increase without looking at the politics, Helen. Because last week you had, of course, parties like Bossa and Action SA speaking quite publicly on the media, quite victorious about having that press briefing with GNU members, excluding the Democratic Alliance, of course, and talking about how it is that collective effort that has led to the reversal of the VAT hike. So what do you say to those that took that victory?
Well, the fact is that the fiscal framework was passed in the Portfolio Committee unlawfully, as it now happens, and the court has found also that it was unlawful, as well as Parliament unlawfully. But they had passed through Parliament, so the minister's announcement couldn't reverse that. So there was no way that the minister could, by announcing that he'd scrap the VAT increase on the 1st of May, actually scrap the VAT increase on the 1st of May. What it required was a court order, which we knew all along, and now we have that court order.
Can you bring us into some of the negotiations between the legal team of the Finance Minister and certainly that of the Democratic Alliance, any sort of concessions that needed to be made by the Finance Minister for you to get to this point?
Well, the Finance Minister had to agree that he did not have a strong case in court and that it was best for him to settle out of court rather than to wait for the court's finding, which could have been rather damning of him. So it was much better from his perspective to reach an out-of-court settlement before then, which is what he did, and I'm very glad that he did that. We were hoping for an earlier out-of-court settlement, but that wasn't to be, and we were very pleased that the out-of-court settlement was today, after we filed our supplementary affidavit on Friday, pointing out that the VAT increase would go ahead on the 1st of May unless we got this court order. And the minister could either have it through negotiation and an out-of-court settlement that would then be made an order of court, or it could be done by the court giving judgment.
Yeah, there is, of course, the question on whether or not, without this settlement between the Democratic Alliance and the Finance Minister, if that puts the stability of GNU at risk in any way. So without that court order, what do you say to that? Would the Democratic Alliance's part in the GNU be something that would be questioned by the party? And is this a moment that strengthens that relationship?
Well, I saw all of the smaller parties saying the DA should get out, and I'm sure they're all licking their lips to become ministers. I think that's what it might all have been about, actually. But I don't want to cast too many aspersions. They were hoping that we'd be kicked out and that they could come in. But as it happens, we had a very good meeting with the ANC last Thursday. And there are times we're going to disagree and disagree very strongly. This was one of those times, but it doesn't need to bring the government down.
Do you think that the Government of National Unity's membership in those parties inside of it will remain the same moving forward?
I'm not sure. I mean, I know that the DA is there, and we're going to be in it to get growth and jobs and to try and work on a common growth and jobs agenda. That's why we're there. But we'll also be there to fight those things and to use our muscle on those things that we don't agree with, as we now have done on the VAT increase. And so we will continue to do that. And the ANC understands that those are our conditions for being there.
You did also have the economic freedom fighters in the matter in the Western Cape High Court as an intervening applicant. In your view, did they in any way assist to move the needle?
Yes, I think they did. Their particular argument was that all the smaller parties had been conned by the minister into supporting the fiscal framework in the Portfolio Committee and in Parliament. And the fiscal framework, as everyone knows, had the 0.5% VAT increase in it. And the economic freedom fighters rightly contended that the minister knew that he couldn't remove the 0.5% VAT increase before the 1st of May, therefore promising them that he would remove it before the 1st of May without a court case was literally deceiving them, I'm afraid. There's no other way to call it. And that is what the economic freedom fighters based their application on.
Yeah. Could you see a contribution within GNU by a party like Action SA and BOSA and what they would be able to bring? Or is that something that you think is a moot conversation?
That's not for me to say. It really isn't.
All right, and we'll await, of course, to see what happens next. What is it, of course, that that is meant to happen next? Because, of course, you've got that order of the court declaring that the adoption of the framework as well as the budget by the NCOP and the National Assembly now, of course, being reversed. And so quite a bit of a process moving forward where now some of the negotiation perhaps needing to go back to the GNU partners about what to do next.
Well, next is that we've got to start the process of adopting a fiscal framework from scratch in Parliament. So it's going to mean a reorganization of the entire parliamentary program. And that is going to be very important and change everything for the rest of the year, I would imagine, because it's a long process. And we'll just get on with our part B, which is to continue with our court case to have Section 7.4 of the VAT Act declared unconstitutional.
All right. We really do appreciate your time, Helen. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Pleasure.
Helen Zille there, who is, of course, the DA Federal Council chairperson. With that breaking news, where the Western Cape High Court, of course, with the order of the court officially declaring the reversal of that 0.5 percentage point VAT hike.